Well, I think now we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. As you know, in Spain, shooting has never stopped. So we have continued to shoot within very complicated conditions. We shot a movie in a bubble, which was quite an interesting experience. And now we are starting shooting in a few weeks again, and we still keep the bubble concept. But we're very optimistic now because it's opening up. So hopefully we'll get back to normal. Honestly, no. I think they are very useful. I think we have found out that Zoom meetings are not the same, and it's very easy to look very nice but think of something else. I think personal contact is crucial. I personally am not missing physically the festivals and all that, but I am aware that this is very necessary. Essentially, Diario de la Cuarentena was originated because we were at the beginning of lockdown, and I was talking to my mother, who was living by herself, and she was very depressed. So I said, we need to laugh at ourselves. I think humor is crucial, and at that point, we decided to take a humorous look at a very complicated situation. It was very funny because I called Spanish television. On a Friday, I sent them the concept, and on Monday they call me back and say, we're gonna go. So it was really, it took us like 1 week to write the concept, 4 days to get it in TV, and we started shooting right away. It was best way to pass lockdown is to shoot a movie remotely, not a movie, a series remotely. Very, very funny. The whole experience was just hilarious because essentially we were all in our houses and we had to shoot everything through, we were directing the actors were shooting themselves and we were directing them through Zoom. So it was, of course, imagine all the anecdotes of, especially when we're having older people who were not so like Fernando Colomo, who are not so used to technology, and they had to shoot themselves because he was an actor in that series. He had to learn how to use the computer, how to upload images. So it was all a huge learning experience. But I got a lot of inspiration, and so did the other crew, from the amazing amount of jokes that people were putting on the net. All the time, no? At the beginning of the pandemic, especially, then I think it went down. But at the beginning, there were lots of memes or GIFs or stuff like that, and we took a lot of inspiration from those. I think we have. I think it's two ways. It works two ways. Obviously, the pandemic made us rethink the way we produce and the way we think about a movie and try to keep it simple in a way. And that, I think, can be seen in the movies that are coming out now. No, I think it's where everybody stayed away from the mega productions, from the complicated films with lots of extras, and we went more to the 1950s style of filming, which is more closer to theater and less actors and more focused on actor-driven movies. No? On the other side, obviously, the COVID restrictions and the bubble and the tests and all that increased the budget. So it's twofold. At the end of the day, I think it made us think differently and be more creative about how to approach production. And I think that was very good. I think I always refer to optimism like Winston Churchill, who said, I am an optimist. I thought it was the better choice, and I agree. I think that you have to always look at the bright side, and the pandemic has to have taught us a few lessons. No, I hope people have learned them, but I think the first and foremost, I think it's to make people think about the environment. I don't know if that thought is gonna stay with the people when the normality comes back, but I think it's crucial that we all think about our planet and focus on how to improve our relationship with the planet, because that is, I think, if we can take one positive thing out of all this nightmare, is that we have to be very careful because we're ruining our planet, and the only people who are going to be really affected is us. So we better think of better ways to do things, more friendly, more natural, and stay away from plastic. Having said that, we think shooting in a pandemic, plastic is all everywhere. I mean, to take out plastic from a movie set at the moment now is impossible, no? Between the masks and the gels and everything. So I think in general we have to rethink things and be more friendly and aware. Well, I'm shooting in 5 weeks. We start shooting of a Christmas children movie directed by Fernando Colomo, and that's going to be fantastic. It's the first time I do a movie for kids. I think about this as a movie for my kids, no? Because my kids are exactly the age, and it's going to be a great experience. And we shoot this summer and we release in November, so we really have to be very quick. And then in October, I'm producing first movie by a Spanish actor who is the director as well in this movie, that I co-produced with Penelope Cruz, called In the French, with Juan Diego Boto, and with Luis Tosar, Penelope as main stars. And that's going to be a great experience, because this was actually a movie that was postponed due to the pandemic, because it happens everything in the street, lots of extras. So we essentially canceled the project and we're retaking it now in October. And as a director, I'm starting to shoot a documentary on a Spanish rock group that is finishing its career, called Tequila. You must know Tequila. Their last concert is on the 25th of September. So I'm doing a documentary taking a look back at this group that has changed essentially Spain's rock and music life, and has followed the evolution of our country since 1972 or 5 or 75, something like that. Releasing in 2 weeks in theaters, Polyamory for Beginners, which is a very funny comedy directed by Fernando Colomo about the polyamorous relationship in the current society, which is an intelligent but funny look at how relationships have changed and how people are having some trouble to adapt to that new reality. We've managed to do something that was very hard, which is to do a movie about polyamorous people, relationships, without offending anybody. So far, nobody has gotten offended, so that's really a miracle nowadays. No, I mean, right now, I think the markets and all that have been kind of sloppy in the last recently. So I don't know. I think that the sales company, which is Latido, tells me that they're negotiating a remake. I think it's a very good remake opportunity, because it's a great idea. It talks about what's going on today in the current society, where everything has been turned upside down, but with humor and in a positive and white way, no? Which I think is very important nowadays, to manage to laugh without making fun of someone, no? Well, for me, the most memorable one was in Sundance Film Festival, where we released for the first time Comandante, which was a documentary directed by Oliver Stone about Fidel Castro, which was a very interesting experience to go with, at the time, the enemy impersonated, no, with Oliver Stone to Sundance and put it there and see the audience reaction. Was great. It was my first time in Sundance, and it was one of my first movies as well. So that for me was a great moment. And then I did one thing also that I find memorable, which was a documentary that I directed called Sons of the Clouds, about the Sahrawi refugee people. And we went to the United Nations and showed the movie there. And that was also a fantastic experience. I don't know if it qualifies as US, but it was in New York, and it was wonderful. Great experience. Everyone I want to do, I end up doing. No. There's a lot of me as a director, as a documentary director. I have a lots of ideas. I'm very interested in human nature, and I want to do one about how people change and what makes people change about with power money, and fame. That is something that I always found very interesting, because people are really transformed by one of the three: power, fame, or money, and they become different. Their views are different. They stop listening. They start thinking they are better than they really are. It's an interesting concept that I really want to do. And my partners tell me, don't do it until you are much older, because it will be the end of your career. I say, okay.